welcome to the next episode of the Man Event. I believe this is our 11th episode, guys. I think that's what it is, right? 11th or 12th?
11.
Happy Sunday evening to everybody. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Guys, welcome to the show. We got Pooh Bear. What's going on, Pooh?
It's happening.
B-Love is right there. Brian Lovell hanging out. The Chief down in the left-hand corner. And, of course, me, Matty Ho, here to bring it to you. We got a great show planned today. We got a bunch of good topics we're going to bring out, talk them through, give some opinions, start some fights, have all the good fun we can have. So,
Apparently,
who's ready to
Apparently, as long as you're within 21 feet and you're the knife guy, you've got the advantage.
We will talk about that, I think, and figure it out. But we're here to have a good time, start some discussion, talk sports, talk maybe a little politics, maybe throw a little opinion things here and there. But all in all, we're just here to have a good time. So sit back, relax, throw in some comments.
Don't forget rockets and astronauts, man.
Oh, you know how much money he made? We'll get into that too, with Elon Musk and his big payday.
Elon Musk. This is Elon Musk right now.
Yep.
Yeah, how about it?
700 million. That's all I'm going to say right now. We can talk about that later.
They took a Tesla to the launch pad. That was my favorite part. They took a Tesla to load the rocket. That's just fantastic.
He's a marketing genius, isn't he?
Oh my god!
Of course, you heard what happened when it got scrubbed the other day, right? He stopped at a Carl's Jr. or I don't know what Five Guys. I think it's Five Guys, right?
Oh,
needed to charge it. Yeah, well, he needed to charge up. Oh yeah. So he's a marketing genius.
He's a man of the people. He had to wait with everyone else. He's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, I know we're off script here just a little bit, but
already
look, the SpaceX thing. I got to say this, okay? You know, they showed right before the launch. They showed the inside of the capsule. There's the astronauts. They got the $1 billion screens in front of them. They got everything going on. And then the astronaut, the pilot guy, he's got a cheat sheet strapped to his thigh. I said, come on, man. I mean, is this like the how to reboot the system if the computers go down? What do you have to
goes out? If the
what do you have to put on your thigh that's so important that these guys don't have it, on the screen ready for you to go?
You know what it said? It said in big letters, "Don't hit the eject button."
Yeah, that's probably good advice there.
Probably all it said. Don't abort. Yeah, don't
Control Alt Delete. If everything else fails, Control Alt Delete.
Well, I'm
reboot.
pretty sure, like fighter pilots in the United States Air Force and Navy and Marines, they have a pad on their thigh that they use to scribble down.
Yeah, I think they do like calculations, like mathematical calculations.
Yeah, very analog.
Yeah, but this is Tesla. They're like the king of technology. I mean, come on.
I get it. I'm just saying, there is room in this world for some of the old school stuff.
I've heard that at the Tesla headquarters, pencils, pens, and paper are not allowed. You're not allowed to bring them in the building.
Wow,
that's
technology.
Nuts.
It's not true, but I'm just saying.
Just go ahead and add that to the list. Go ahead and add that to the list. Why I don't work at Tesla.
Yeah. Plus, they wouldn't hire us. So anyway, we got we're off script already, but we got some fun plans. So we like to start out a lot of times with.
We can circle back around to SpaceX, but
we got SpaceX. We can talk about sports, right? Major League Baseball, maybe not. Some people are fighting over in the baseball world. Maybe we talk about that a little bit. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I think there's a couple of things to talk about here. One is, do we need all of these long seasons in professional sports? NHL, Major League Baseball, even the NBA, which I know Cliff loves to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
But I think the only season of perfect length in professional sports of the big four is probably the NFL.
Yes.
Right. So we'll chalk it off to the NFL. They're doing it right. But, you look at both the NHL and the NBA are looking at moving right into the playoffs. And essentially, each of them sandbagged 15 or 16 games. Like, hey, we're just not going to play those. And nobody's really raising a stink about, hey, if we'd have played those games, we would have been a playoff team or not. So it makes me wonder, like, do you need that long of a season in some of these professional sports, including baseball, which is 162 games?
Right. That's what I was just going to say. 162 games to narrow it down to a playoff, playoff contention teams. I mean, that's a long season.
Especially in Major League Baseball, how many teams make the playoffs? 8, right? There's only 8, essentially. Yeah. I mean, they've got those play-in games now, but essentially it's 8 teams, Whereas like in the NHL, they play 82 games and half the league makes the playoffs.
Right. But in the NHL, the problem is it takes so long to get to the Stanley Cup. You know, these games are all 7-game series, and if all these games go 7-game series,
it is the hardest
just
trophy
takes
to
forever. By far the hardest trophy. And let me tell you, hockey players, man, they take a beating. Those guys are tough. But back to the point you were bringing up about does the season need to be this long? No, I mean, obviously it doesn't need to be that long, but who would be in favor of really changing it now? Maybe hockey. I don't know if people, well, Cliff, the Chief would. Baseball. Let's talk baseball. 162 games just to decide who gets to keep playing.
Right.
Guys, we do not need a 162 game season. Let me tell you, from 2017 to 2018, attendance is down 10% in baseball. Okay, so a lot of it has to do with supply and demand. I mean, everybody knows it's like, why should I go to this game when I can go to one on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they'll be back again. They're going to play the same gays, the same gays. They're going to play the same guys that they just played. They're going to come to Tampa and we're going to watch them again.
Right.
So I'm on TV. We're going to see them again. Yeah. This idea of a 162 game season. I found out I didn't know this because I wasn't born in 1962, but that's when the 162 game season came into play. Was in 1962. Before that, it was 154 games. That was the standard.
Right.
Wow. I mean, but still, to me, it's ridiculous to play 106. Now, listen, I am a baseball fan, so let's put that out there first.
Why don't we want them to play 162? I want to see it.
I'm just saying, because you've got these bottom dweller teams, Pooh Bear, that are going to lose 100 games a season. I don't want to watch that baseball.
You're telling me you wouldn't watch the Pirates and the Reds right now? If the Pirates and Reds were on right now.
Right now, because
right now, I would
going on.
Right now, I would watch Bloomingdale versus Brandon.
That'd be good baseball.
Well, here's the thing with baseball too. Like I won't really pay attention to standings or anything till after the All-Star break because the whole first half of the season doesn't matter. And of course, in baseball, till you get to the very end and you're looking at who's up a game and a half or what have you. One game doesn't matter in the NFL.
That's the nuance
I get it.
of baseball.
I get it.
It takes
I'm just
time.
pointing it out.
It's like a fine wine. It has to mature. It takes it takes months for guys to heat up and get going.
But when you're watching the NFL and you have a guy, you have the Buccaneers lose their first game, let's say, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, half of Tampa yells, "Our season's over."
Right. Fire the
right.
coach.
Right. Yep. Fire the coach. Burn the stadium down. Whatever else. But because 16 games, every game has a lot more.
Every game matters.
Right. It's
Right.
like it's the equivalent of having two weeks of baseball is basically an NFL game.
Yeah, in NFL, you start the season 1-3, and you start talking about Game 5 as a must-win.
Right.
Right.
You're not talking about must-win games in baseball until after the All-Star break.
Right.
And I don't watch it till the All-Star break. I don't pay much attention.
Pooh Bear, you seem like the type of person who would know the answer to this question. How many times does each team play other teams in their division?
I think it's 18.
18 games.
I believe
So you got a team like the Orioles. I'm going to use them because they're in the NL East, right? Or I'm sorry, the AL East, and we play them. But the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Rays get to beat up on them for 18 games a season.
Right.
Right. This is arguably the most difficult division in baseball, and they've got a perennial cellar dweller where you're going to get 12 out of 18 of your wins in the season.
Yeah.
Is that necessarily fair?
That's given the season that they're down. There's going to be seasons where they're up. I mean, that's the nature of this whole thing is that we have teams that come from nowhere and start to excel. Then you have teams that are expected to dominate and crap the bed.
Yeah.
So that's why you play so many games, is so you can determine without a doubt that over a period of time, minus injuries, who is the best team.
That's not why they play 162 games today. It might have been in the 1960s.
They play 162 games.
Today it's about television revenue.
It's about revenue.
Money.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is the reason why attendance is down, to Clifford's point about
100%.
The home experience is so good. That's why people aren't going to ball games. It's not because they're not baseball fans or they can't afford a ticket or to. It's because I can sit on my couch and enjoy my refreshments and watch my big screen TV and
and going to the stadium is so incredibly expensive.
Yes.
Right. Even in baseball, let's go back to football really quick with the stadium experience. When I was a kid,
sit in suites.
Well, Whoa.
Some of us do.
Wow.
Not all of us.
Some of us were looking at you guys in the suite from all the way across the stadium. But, when I was a kid, my dad had season tickets to the Giants. I think he was on the 30-yard line, like third row. It was awesome. And every now and then he'd take us to a game as a kid here and there, and we'd have to sit way up in the nosebleeds, and then he'd go back down. Nowadays, you'd probably get arrested for that, but back then it was okay. But you ask him now, he still lives up in Connecticut. You ask him now, and he'd rather just watch the games at home. First off, it's too expensive. You can't get tickets. You couldn't afford them, unless you're Elon Musk or something maybe. But second, the parking is ridiculous. The hot dogs or hamburgers, everything is so ridiculously expensive. And then you look at the money that the players are making, and then that may be a good segue into the argument what's going on right now in baseball with starting the season and getting paid. But these guys are making so much money, and it costs the average person so incredibly much money to go. You just rather watch it at home.
Hey, don't let me get started on my rant. Don't get my rant started again about Blake Snell. But
do you have your notes?
I still got them. I still got them. Hey, but listen, there's something else besides the price and the competition, about baseball. It's the calendar year. I mean, the thing is, it starts in the spring when kids are still in school. How about you go to a Rays game, a day game for the Rays? Who's in the stadiums in April? It's kids. It's the daycare kids,
YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club.
Right. You got a whole section of pink over here, and you got a section of yellow and blue and stuff like that. And by the way, the northern teams are playing in frigid temperatures. They start the season. It's super cold in April up there. They're finishing in October if you make it that far. It's cold in October. Baseball doesn't want to play under those conditions. They just don't in general. So, there's all kinds of reasons why this season should be shortened. Increase attention, decrease cost, competition.
I think
make each game count more.
Yeah. To Bear's point too, the television broadcast has gotten so much better. Have you tried to watch any of these like rewind games that they're playing in the Atlas of Sports right now?
Oh yeah.
The picture quality is so poor. If you were watching a baseball game, you wouldn't be able to even tell where the baseball was hit.
No, I don't know how we did it.
I don't know how we did it. But today
I was watching one. If I didn't know who the players were and know that their gait and their swings and their way they stand.
Plus, they had their name on the back.
Well, you couldn't read that. I couldn't read
their names.
I was watching on my phone, but I couldn't read it. So if I didn't know that I was watching the Cubs, I think it was Dawson. He was a very large man, and it was very tough to not know who that was. But if I didn't know I didn't know who I was watching. Yeah.
And I think too, the color analysts do an amazing job. You can see replay at home.
Yeah.
They're giving you real-time stats that unless you're keeping a scorebook during the game, at the game, you don't know that this guy is 2 for 3 today or whatever. I just think that the broadcast is so much better. I think that's a huge reason for the decline in attendance. But, I think, the real thing what we were looking to talk about here is I think Major League Baseball is in a conundrum. If the players and the owners can't come to an agreement, you are going to see a lockout or a strike likely this season. They are right now at risk of not playing this season. Because I will say, I do think you need the 80-something games. You can't play baseball on 45 games, right? So if they don't figure out a way to get in at least half the season, that season is at risk. And I don't know how long ago the strike was. Actually, it was a lockout
94,
where you said 94.
Yeah,
lockout of 94. Listen, if it wasn't for Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire next summer, baseball never makes a comeback.
It was struggling. It was struggling in 98 when that whole thing started. And again, that's what made baseball interesting in the dull days of summer when it was early on. Nothing else is on. Baseball's the only thing to watch. But Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were going back to back hitting home runs every night. It was crazy.
Who knew it was drug induced? And then so let's just say they do strike this year, right? Let's say that's where
Yep.
it comes to. I think people are going to be even less forgiving when they consider all the circumstances going on, right? With
Yes.
quarantining
It
and
is a,
what
it is a bad climate.
unemployment, right?
Yeah,
Unemployment,
because
Oh, wow.
right now they're making this
30%.
100% about money.
right?
This isn't about player safety. It's not
Right.
about fan safety. Right now, this is 100% about money. And I
And-
just don't know that people are going to forgive him for that easily. They
And
will,
the
but
optics are
not
horrible.
easily.
And they're
Right.
already making moves. They've already started laying off minor league players.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're
Right.
the owners getting real. The owners are getting serious about this.
By the way, did anybody see that minor league player from the Mets who spoke out against Tim Tebow?
Well, he was really speaking out against the Mets.
didn't
not
see
so
that.
much against Tebow.
I mean, he
mentioned
called the
Tebow.
guy out.
He
called.
no, he didn't actually. He just said when we
Give
have
me
a
the background
celebrity
on this
taking-
really quick.
All right,
Did you or did you not know who he was
I
talking
knew
about?
exactly who he was talking about.
Okay.
So there was a minor league player from the Mets. I think he was a second round draft pick from I don't know when. Maybe it's not too far in the distant past. I think he was playing in their AAA system. He was one of the players that they furloughed or let go or cut, whatever. So he took to I think it was a Yahoo story. I think he called Yahoo or Yahoo called.
I think it was Instagram. I think he took to Instagram.
Was it Instagram? All right. So he goes on a rant about the Mets and how poor their organization is, how poor their general manager has been, how they could afford to keep him if they really wanted to, yada, yada, yada. And he specifically mentions that they have a celebrity on the team taking the spot of another player. That's it. He didn't come out and say anything bad about Tim Tebow. He didn't come out and say anything that, that was derogatory about Tim or his play or anything. It was just pretty much saying, here's a guy that probably doesn't deserve a roster spot, taking one up. And there's
Right,
an
but let me-
argument. There's an
He
argument
says
to
team
be had
management
about
doesn't know what they're doing, and so he really wants another job somewhere else, doesn't he?
Whether this guy called
Right.
out Tim Tebow or he called out the leadership of the Mets organization, do you think other ball clubs are interested in signing this guy?
that.
Right,
No,
not
now.
anymore.
Well,
This dude
No.
effectively
I
just
shouldn't
ended
say
his
that so
baseball
quick.
career.
I don't
Sure.
think so.
Well, if he's got skills, people will forgive a lot.
there you
to
go.
Win, to
There
win.
you go.
Yeah,
he's
but
got
he's a
skills.
triple A player.
Yeah.
Right.
but
How old
he's-
is he?
He's only.
Oh, he just got drafted. You said so. All right. So
yeah,
he's
I think
19.
I think he was a 2018 draft pick.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't
maybe
want that in
20.
my clubhouse. I don't want that in my organization.
Yeah, but all right, someone's going to pick up Antonio Brown too if he can catch a ball, and they're
now.
going to deal with everything else.
No.
So people,
That guy's NFL career is over.
I don't know.
100%.
People will put up in like sports like no other business. People will put up a lot of BS to
there's
win a
few
game.
Coaches, there's a few coaches, Matt, who would be willing to pick up an Antonio Brown, and
Mhm.
one of them has already cut him. And that's Bill Belichick.
Yeah, right.
The other guy who might be willing to pick up an Antonio Brown is John Gruden.
Oh, and the Raiders. Yeah. Well,
Wasn't he already with the Raiders?
he already,
and
was
John
already
Gruden?
there. Yeah.
He was already there.
So there we go. My argument's been made.
I was gonna say he quit the Raiders. They didn't let him go right away. He
The
refused to
player in
play.
question was Andrew Church. He was a second round pick. Doesn't say what year. It's not in this story.
So the players' union
If he can
was
hit a
not
home run,
going to
somebody will pick him
approve.
up.
Yeah, the players' union was not going to approve what Major League Baseball presented to them, which was an 80-game season, and they're talking about the players' union is countering with a 100-game season. Does that make a difference? 20 games,
Eh.
No, I mean, I think
and they're not going to start on the 1st of July. There's no way. So
Well, that's
now
what
we're
we're talking
talking
about now,
mid-July with 100 games to play. That puts them deep into October.
I thought the idea was to get back to training by the 13th and then start July 1st.
yeah, that's the idea. But there's players already doing that. I know Tropicana Field opened up, and there's a number of players that are already there. Willie Adames and
Mhm.
There were like 12 there the other day.
Yeah, they were all working out and getting it done. So I think at this point, any number of games is going to be great. You're not going to have 162 games. It's just not going to work. They're not going to interfere with football because that's going to be a huge lack of revenue and a huge lack of attention.
Yeah,
being
they'll
given
lose
to
to football in a second.
Right. So they're going to, as a entity, they're going to want to get this in and out before, October.
I'll tell you the solution: a league of their
there-
own.
Yes, get the lanes out there.
Let's do it. It worked back in 1940s or whatever it was.
Crying in baseball.
Gina Davis at catcher.
Yeah.
Can we get
telling you.
Madonna in right field?
Ugh.
I don't care where Madonna plays.
Rosie O'Donnell was second base, I think.
Ooh.
It
You know,
did
I
a
might
long
watch
shot.
that just to see Rosie O'Donnell try to round the bases. That would be.
Here she's rounding second. She's headed for third.
Yeah.
Rolling.
And
It
then
reminds
maybe
me of that time that I was
Roseanne Barr plays an opposing, like third baseman.
Come on.
Cuts her off.
Ugh.
Yeah, Pooh Bear, do you remember that time I got
The
thrown
hit
off
heard
the
around the
softball
world.
trying to leg out a triple because my pants fell down?
Yes.
So, did any of you guys ever hear that? What was it? Well, I forget what the name of the league was, but did any of you guys ever hear that before that movie ever came out?
Of the women's professional baseball?
Yeah,
league?
I never knew about it.
No, I
Either.
did not.
Yeah.
It did
Pretty
bring
cool, though.
awareness to women's baseball, and this is
Well.
something we all need at this time.
Well, they needed it then because all the boys were overseas, right? So
All right, speaking of sports, I
maybe now's the
finished
time.
off the Last Dance series.
Okay.
That could have
Wow.
been about 8 episodes too long.
What?
Yeah, there's no need to do an episode on each character, on each playoff
Wow.
run.
And everybody's
They
getting
could've-
mad at each other from it, right? I keep
Cliff is
Scotty-
falling asleep. He's tired of talking about the NBA.
They could have.
Are we done with the NBA?
They,
Are we? Is it over?
We're just getting warmed up, kid. Oh.
Hey, let's do COVID too. Maybe we'll do some COVID talk.
do-
later. So, go
All
ahead.
right, well, so since you brought up a 30 by 30, the Last Dance, did anybody catch the first
Lance.
episode of the Lance thing?
yes,
I did not.
Oh, and I have to publicly
All right,
apologize.
Matt, you're dismissed.
I work.
Last week I said that I didn't like Lance because he left his wife after she
Right.
stood by him with. That was wrong. I was wrong. They weren't even married until after his cancer was over. So to Mr. Armstrong, I apologize. To people watching, I made a huge error in saying that.
Wow, you're a big man.
misremembered.
Hey, this is recorded, right? Because I don't know
Yeah.
if I ever heard Pooh Bear apologize before. This is.
Once or twice.
I'm gonna get that on my phone, and I'm just gonna play it over and
It'll
over
be-
again.
Yeah,
It's
it's gonna be like,
broadcasted live on YouTube.
Yes.
It's gonna be a ringtone.
Which
That would
nobody
be
but
great.
the four of us understands.
I know.
No,
It's-
no.
They could though. I got it on my phone.
But, I will say it did bring a new perspective, and I think I mentioned this last week as well. That not knowing the story until we hear it, I don't know
Right.
what kind of situation it was in. And it turns out everyone was doping, and it was pretty much do it or don't be on the team.
Yeah, I'll say I made some pretty strong comments last week about the whole doping thing. And my main argument was in baseball, everybody was doing it. It was an even playing field. So give those guys a rest, let them into the hall, take the asterisks off the records and all of that. But, the crazy thing about cycling is there was doping in it and they couldn't test for it.
Right.
There was no test
It
to
stayed
bust.
ahead of the
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
it was
So
interesting.
I don't know. I mean, what the second part is tonight, we'll see the rest of that. But from the first part, I haven't put together like the full timeline yet. Like when did he start winning compared to when,
Mhm.
it became under some high scrutiny. But I do know that this dude, he ruined some people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won multiple lawsuits against people for defamation of
Oh,
character or different things like that. Some of these journalists, I mean, he made millions off of essentially suing people to defend his name when they were right all along. He was doping.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I'm-
but he wasn't the only one. So it was different from baseball.
He was the
to
highest
where-
profile one.
Yeah, well, different from baseball. You had a gap. So in baseball, you had the prestigious players that made a lot of money and could afford the exotic drugs and whatnot. They were doping. The guys coming out of the third world countries that were trying to make the league that had a lot to lose, they were doping. All the guys in the middle, presumably weren't, right? And that's not the first time I've heard that from other sources. So it wasn't like it was everyone doing it. It was just the really, really good and the really young and the really underprivileged. So it was different to where in cycling, from at least from this documentary's evidence, that everyone was doing it. Literally, if you weren't, you were kicked off the team.
Mm-hmm.
By the Postal Service?
Well, this was before the Postal Service. This was going back to his high school days. He
yeah.
was a high schooler competing with full-grown triathlete men.
Well, how old was he when he got diagnosed with
In his
cancer?
20s. He had already ridden with another couple of professional teams for a couple of seasons. So I
Mhm.
don't know exact age. I don't know if they ever said it.
Yeah.
It was early 90s.
And he had a hard time after the diagnosis. He had a hard time catching on anywhere. Nobody wanted to hire him. In fact,
Yeah.
part of that documentary, he essentially took an incentive-laden contract. They were paying him almost nothing, which he took. Obviously he did not take well, but it was full of incentives, and that's probably again what drove him to the doping. But one of the interesting statistics I took away from that was they're saying that whatever and I apologize, I don't remember what it was they were doing specifically, but whatever they were doing for doping, it gave you a 10% increase in performance.
Mhm.
And they were saying that the time difference from the first place finisher to the last place finisher was like less than 4% in time.
Right.
So essentially, you could have been the worst cycler in, let's say, the Tour de France at that time,
And then one.
doped and won
Yeah.
if nobody else was.
Well,
That's
even
how
that-
much of a benefit it was. I found that absolutely amazing because, I've never really heard any statistics before on, what advantage you get. To me, I look at it in baseball, like you can't see the ball any better. You're not picking the ball out of the pitcher's hand any better to know whether it's a fastball, changeup, curveball or whatever. You're just, when you do figure it out right, you're just smashing it further.
Yeah, but you're also on the field more. You're able to recover faster and get back out there, whereas the guy
your
behind
fatigue
you,
is less. I don't know. It could sharpen your senses that you pick up that ball
it
better.
might,
You're
it
more
might.
focused.
But, you do that, you get into the whole, was Brady Anderson cheating when he had contacts, or is someone cheating if they have surgery for their eyes? So that to me is
Let's ask Jameis in a little while.
yeah, James.
We'll find out, right?
Let's see if he can find the field.
Well,
Hey,
he's gonna beat the Bucks twice. So
Cliffy, what do
He's
you
not
think
gonna
about
beat the Bucks
UNI doping for Spartan races?
So, seriously. So the problem with doping is, especially with testosterone, is that it raises your red blood cells. Your red blood cells are kind of your engine to your body. They're the ones that transport the oxygen, to the rest of your cells. So it allows you to. It's kind of like a high octane, So not only are you performing at someone that's at a better conditioning than you are, but you're going to recover faster.
Right.
It, a couple of things it does, allows your muscles, to go stronger, faster, blah, blah. But,
like you said, you're on the field
it's
more.
definitely an unfair advantage. For Spartan race, for crying out loud, man, I don't think that I'm not really that worried about it. Let's put it that way.
It was an off cuff remark.
I know it was. I'm just saying, from my position in a Spartan race, it doesn't matter.
But while we're talking about Spartan, it's a good time to interject that this coming Saturday is the taping of the next Man Event short.
Boot camp.
Yes.
I am so excited.
The Man Event does boot camp, so we'll be dropping that in about 10 days.
But by boot camp, we don't mean like
Gotta be funny,
military 1, 2,
No.
3 boot camp. We're talking no. We're talking exercise style boot camp.
Flipping
So-
tires. I want to flip tires.
You got the
You'll
flipping
flip
tires.
tires.
You got the ropes, and
Push
what
up.
else is there?
Whoa.
Battle ropes. You got. We're definitely making Pooh Bear do some box jumps.
Do we have a spinning log I can run across?
There's not a spinning log.
No,
there, is
they're spinning-
there is a fire hose drag. Oh wait,
This isn't the
fire
lumberjack
fires.
games.
Can you imagine Pooh Bear trying to do a plank walk?
What is
I don't have to imagine we're going to see it on Saturday. So
Someone's gonna have to tell me what that is.
Secretly, Pooh's been working out. He's going to surprise us
Pooh,
all.
there's a punching bag.
Punch.
It should be pretty
I-
funny. I think it's got all the makings of being really good. So
and then next.
So a plank walk is just planking and walking and moving. Ninja crawl.
That's kind of like doing a push up, but without the ups and downs, and go left and right, and you kind of shuffle left and right with it.
You're moving
Gotta walk all the way across the parking lot.
while in a plank position.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm watching this guy do it now. He's gonna show me. I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna get 20 of them in tomorrow.
And back to doping, I'm just going to say it's still cheating. That's it. I don't see how you get in the Hall of Fame if you're cheating. Period.
A
Done.
known cheater, as a known cheater.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, here's the other argument to that, Matt, is who doped that's in the hall we don't know about.
Okay, but you don't know. So
We don't know.
What are you saying? We eliminate the Hall of Fame then? Is that our only other option?
No, I'm just saying, like
They tried to do that in Atlanta last night.
I'm guessing Sandy Koufax was not. I don't think you can take that argument. Well, what are we ignorant about? We don't know what we don't know. Therefore, we can't keep the others out. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. If you know that they did, hey, you're the unlucky one who got caught. Well, so be it. You got to pay the punishment.
Yeah.
Boom.
Everybody speeds, but you get the one who gets pulled over, you're still going to have to pay the ticket.
You were still speeding. That's right. All right. So where are we at?
Well, I think right now you're being compared to Mike Golick.
What is that?
So,
what it is? Mike
I think,
Golick?
yeah.
I was wondering
Yeah.
why you were asking, but I figured you knew that. But did you go to Notre Dame?
No.
No, but I'll tell you this: you are taller than him. He's only 6'5".
I'm better looking too. I'm sure.
He's got more money than you.
I'm looking him up.
Don't you know Mike and Mike in the morning?
Yeah,
Well, I don't think they're together anymore, but they used to be Mike and Mike.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm way better looking than this guy.
take your
He
hat
played
off.
in the NFL.
Wait,
You can't take your hat off.
I
Just
can't have these
Hey,
headphones.
doesn't he have
We'll
like
wait.
kids
We'll
in
wait.
the NFL or something?
Yeah, he was. He played for the
He-
Jets. I knew who.
yeah,
he was.
back in the
He's
day,
got a-
yeah.
Doesn't he have a brother?
He has his son went to Notre Dame. I don't know about his. I know one of his sons went to Notre Dame.
He's
Was
got
playing.
one son. Or was it Howie that
No, his
Howie's
sons
got
are-
2 kids that play in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Howie's got 2
Yeah.
kids in the NFL? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look
I'm gonna
at
say, I'm gonna say there is a resemblance there.
Okay.
I kind of see it.
Greg. Yeah, Greg was his brother. Greg Golick. I remember Greg too.
Hmm.
So there you go. All right. So Zach thinks I look like Mike Golick. I'll take it.
So what do you guys think the chances are? I mean, we've talked about all of these NFL teams or all these sports teams trying to get back at it, but there's one league that hasn't started at all. What are the chances?
of the NFL.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
the way
sorry.
things are starting to open up, I think they're really not going to be. They don't even have spring training. I mean, spring training. They don't have the preseason until August.
Right.
So I think there's still a pretty good chance the NFL goes on as planned. They might dodge the bullet here.
With
Yeah,
or
I agree.
without fans in the stadiums?
That
Oh.
remains to be seen.
I think there's going to be fans in the stadiums, but I don't know how they're going to do, 60,000 plus people in a stadium. And I actually don't know how they're going to do, even like if they were to do 30,000 for social distancing. You got, a husband and wife, let's say, who have season tickets next to each other. Who's the one that gets kicked out? I don't know how that could possibly work. But
I just don't understand why it can't be like it was. That's the silly part.
well, I mean, who knows? I mean, September's still a little ways off, and vaccines they're still working. I was only joking when I said let's talk about COVID as well, by the way, but here we go. I mean,
We figured as much.
Nobody brought up COVID.
well, I mean, that's the only thing holding the NFL season back,
They don't call him COVID chief for nothing.
yeah.
Chief COVID.
Yeah.
Golick Jr. did play. He was drafted by Pittsburgh.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I think the NFL season is going to kick off. If it doesn't kick off on time, it'll be just 2 weeks late, kind of like they've already, programmed the schedule to be.
Yep.
And I think if it's 2 weeks late, I don't think it has anything to do with COVID or anything like that. I think it has everything to do with just respect for the other leagues that are trying to get their games in. Because hockey could be trying to finish. They haven't canceled their season, have they?
No.
No, I didn't.
Hockey?
Okay.
No.
Hockey didn't cancel. So hockey didn't cancel. And, we just Major League Baseball. I don't know that you can have. There's only a few markets that can possibly, support 3 major teams at one time. And I don't think Tampa's one of them. Of course, we only have, but we would have 3. Yeah, we would have hockey, baseball, and football at the same time.
Well,
I'm not sure we can handle that.
aside from the scheduling conflicts, I don't think that they're going to battle for the revenue. And, I think there's kind of it's going to be an unwritten rule because they don't care. NFL doesn't care if the MLB is making any money, but they don't want, in a city like, say, New York, they don't want the Yankees and the Mets stealing from the Giants, fan base.
Does anyone share stadiums anymore?
No, the last 2 were the Raiders and the Dolphins, and they both have new stadiums. The Raiders have a new stadium going up this month.
Jets and Giants, sure.
Well,
No,
not with another
not-
sport.
No,
Oh,
the
with
baseball
another
team.
sport. I was
Yeah,
sorry.
with baseball.
Yeah, Oakland was the last one, and then I think Miami got out of that business a couple 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no more shared cross team, but there are shared complexes, and there's a lot of cities that have a football stadium and share a parking lot with a
Right.
either a basketball or a
Don't the
baseball
Jets
stadium.
and the Giants share a stadium?
Yeah, but that's what I
Yes,
just said.
same-
But,
we're talking different sport.
different
like,
sport.
Like the Marlins used to share Joe Robbie with the Dolphins.
Right.
So
And
they would-
Candlestick
that-
was shared with the Giants.
That would be a scheduling nightmare. That would, Oakland.
Oh,
Oakland was
gosh,
the last
yeah.
one, and now Oakland's gone. They've got their own. They left city. They went to LA first. Now they're in Vegas. The Vegas Raiders.
Raiders. I got to get used to that. I'm still not used to it.
Oh, I know. I'm still calling the Chargers the San Diego Chargers. They've been
It's
in
like,
LA for 2
You had to
seasons.
get used to the Rams, the LA Rams and the St. Louis Rams. And now we got the Raiders, and it was the LA Raiders, and it was the Oakland Raiders, and now it's the Los Angeles Raiders. Ugh, it's too much. You know who's never moved?
the Bucks.
Your
Bucks.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Giants. Neither.
They moved from the old sombrero to Ray J.
That was about 35 feet, right, from one
Yep,
stadium to
about
the
35 feet. Today you park on top of the old sombrero.
Yep.
I had season tickets. Remember, I told you at the old Sombrero.
Wow,
Good-
that is ages and
times.
ages ago. So you guys want to move off sports for a minute?
Yeah.
I
what
guess
do
we
you got?
should move on to something else. Sure. Let's
Let's
talk
hear it.
about mail-in ballots. Who wants to talk about mail-in ballots? What do you guys think? We'll go political a little bit. Anybody up for that?
Let's do it.
Cliff
I'm
is always-
saying no mail-in ballots. Does anybody want to
Oh, so I'm gonna ride
disagree with me?
the fence on this one, but I'm gonna wait for the three of y'all to make an argument before I jump in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's exactly what riding the fence is, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to take a stand.
Don't hurt
I'm going to go
yourself.
yes for mail-in ballots.
Are you nuts?
No, I'm not nuts. There's a lot of
No,
good reasons for
There
it.
is zero good unless you work for the postal service. There is no good reason.
Well,
No, unless you're for cheating.
hold on.
Oh,
I-
God.
I'm prepared. I got a couple points to make here.
Okay.
I'll go. I knew this was coming. So
Let me buckle in here.
By
Get
the way,
ready.
we just went from 8 viewers to 2 because of that. I don't know if that's the reason. I don't know if that's the reason or not.
We're out.
look, number one, no long lines on election day.
Come on.
Number-
When,
Haven't been long lines on election day anyway.
There.
Let,
when was the last time you waited in line on election day?
Number two. I'm not. Number
let it
two.
go.
Number two. Okay. As opposed to this, number two, this is it gives you all the time to do the research. You got the ballot in front of you, okay, everybody knows who they're gonna vote for president. Okay, no one knows who they're gonna vote for the judge or for the county, garbage guy or whatever else is out there. No one knows who these things are. They're just picking names. They're like, oh, that name sounds cool, So this actually, you have your ballot in front of you, you can go home, you can research it, you can talk to your friends, you can actually make an intelligent decision as opposed to just going there and punching the first name on the list. Number three, guys, my house is COVID clean. It's also clean from other diseases too that are out there. Number three, okay, this is to Matt already brought up the idea about cheating. Look, I think this is a way to eliminate cheating. So you get your ballot, you mail it in, because now, okay, look at it this way. Right now, we go on Tuesday. We go Tuesday morning, and the whole country votes. How many people? 200 million people vote, let's just say. And magically at 8 o'clock at night, we know who the president's going to be. I mean, how much what's what I'm looking for here? Verification, non-cheating testing can be done on this. I mean, it's this way, you mail your ballot in, the supervisor of elections has a chance to check it out. They can say, hey, man, this is we've got 2 ballots for Mary Jean. That's a problem. We got to start flagging this.
Or they add 2 more for
So
her.
which one would you count?
It would maybe not either. I don't know, but then there's also you would have, this is already being done in Colorado and Utah, and they have both had increased voter turnouts. Now, I mean, I don't know, increased voter. I
Because
think
they're dead people.
I was going to say, those are people who are dead.
Yeah, that's not
it's
increased
like
voters.
70%. 70% of the population of the registered voters vote. That's unheard of.
And that's not a
70% are
red
dead?
flag to you because it doesn't happen. So it's not more voters; it's just more votes.
All right.
Well,
Are you?
and
are
you have proof
You
of
got
that.
more? Do you got more?
Nope, I'm done for now. I will reserve my time.
All right, can you go back and make your first point
Can
again?
you yield back to the floor, please?
Oh, my first point was no long lines on election day.
When was the last time anybody waited in line on election day?
Well, I mean, not for
Oh,
long.
I waited in line last time.
Listen, I waited 3.5 hours to meet Anna and Elsa at Disney World. I can wait for 10 freaking minutes to vote for the president of the United States.
Hey, those weren't.
By the way,
and Elsa.
no trophy behind me here for Dad of the Year.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Not yet, anyway. But Father's Day is coming up, so
Yeah.
a couple weeks.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. I'm going to sum it up really wrong.
That's it. Wrong.
You're just wrong. I mean,
I appreciate the research you put into that.
All right. So
the idea that okay, there's one party that really is pushing for mail-in voting, right? And that's not the party in power. Starts to make you wonder. But why do we really have to? There were people voting. There were people voting when the whole COVID thing started. They still had the vote system working. I forget which states they were doing it in, but and if you want a honest to goodness real election, then you can't put it in the hands of the mail system. Not because the ballots won't get there, but so many extras will be thrown in on the mix too. It's a perfect recipe for just saying, let's cheat. Let's find a way to manipulate the system.
What's interesting about that is that, like you said, the same party that was concerned about cheating in the previous election and went to the extent of investigating an entire country and the president and actually impeached him based on this. Or no, they impeached him on Ukraine stuff. But they spent an entire investigation trying to stop mail or a voter fraud or an illegitimate election, and they're the ones now pushing for this, which can have all the earmarks of a potential problem.
And let me really quick, just as a side part of this, the whole problem, the issue with the election tampering, right, had to do a lot with Facebook ads, right, and setting up these rallies. So it wasn't that they were actually stealing votes; they were just trying to mess with people's minds and shape their thinking, right? So
listen,
when you go with that, you're still responsible for who you vote for.
I wish I had a pen I could take notes. I'm going to forget all of the stuff I want to say. Here, first of all, here's my thing about social media. It's losing its value.
We're using it.
Why don't we just email our votes in?
Social media is losing its value because it has turned into a political stage or a stage for people to market their business. That is not what social media was originally intended for.
Somebody tell them that's what we're doing right now.
Well, but let's be honest. That's what it's moving to, and I think that if that continues, people will lose interest in social media, and it as a medium or media can go away. Not maybe in the near future, but eventually. Here's the thing: is I think this mail-in ballot thing. I think there's a happy medium. One, I think you got to put some rules on it. Like. In other words, I think you should classify who and who is not eligible for mail-in voting. Like, I can understand that, there are some people that might be traveling for work on election day or have jobs that don't permit them to get out for election day. Or maybe they're elderly or disabled or something like that. Like, I can see some needs.
Those currently happen. They're called provisional ballots. And for the record, and for 100% transparency, that's how the president has voted the past 2 or 3 elections, as well as the new press secretary. She came forward with that. So it seems a bit hypocritical for those folks to be saying, against it. But those votes,
she kind of clarified her point, though, or why she did it a little bit, and what she was against, and what the president.
And most of it has to do with travel.
Thank you, Tampa Tribune, by the way.
And that's all currently in place. We have a lot of Canadians that live here in our state, and they're when they're not here, and if they're registered here, they'll vote. From afar, they'll do a mail-in ballot. So in a lot of times, those are counted as provisional. So they'll have an actual ballot read, and those votes will count. And if it's close enough, they'll bring in the provisionals, the people that I think a lot of military that are based overseas, when they mail in their ballot, That's how that gets counted. The
Hey
mail-in
Cliff, does it
ballots
bother you that like mailing in your vote now and all this was written about a long time ago, and it's all part of the strategy to overthrow the United States of America?
No, listen, man. It's so Zach also says that Amazon can't get his or the Postal Service can't get his Amazon order right, and how's he going to trust him with voting for the president? But I'm going to tell you something: the United States Postal Service never gets wrong. Is my bill. Whatever bill I get, it comes straight to me every single time.
That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah, they never miss that one. No, man, it doesn't bother me. I think there are definitely ways, like I said, it gives the supervisor of election more time to qualify those votes, to make sure that these votes count, that they're legit votes.
How do you know that they've been counted, though?
There has to be a way.
You fill out your ballot, you put it in the mail. How do you know it even made it to the person that was supposed to receive it? Like, I could see fraud happening here. Let's say that you have a local postmaster general who, let's say, is a Democrat in a area that is predominantly Republican. Well, what if I just bury all those ballots? I'm taking my chances that out of the 2,000 ballots we received, 1,800 are going to vote Republican ticket. So I'm just not going to send mine in.
Right. They just went.
You're manufacturing an election. Plus, don't forget, didn't they just find a whole crap ton of ballots in North Carolina that were supposed to be in Georgia like a couple of weeks ago?
Yep.
No, Cliff, wrong.
Yeah, Dennis says that you can check it after to see that your mail-in ballot was counted. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to verify that the ballot is a legit ballot, against a voter registration record. And then I don't know how they would do it, but I mean, you can do anything with computers. I mean, for crying out loud, we just sent 2 guys up in a freaking bomb to the space station, man.
Well,
Hey, I think that the supervisor of elections, if he puts one of those little things on his thigh, so that he knows what he's talking about the whole time, this is
right. He's got the pencil tied to his leg.
Yes, that can help. He's like, okay, don't forget to check. Don't forget to count all the ballots or something. I don't know.
I mean, I would even tell you that I would say there's some concerns. Like right now, we do the early voting, right? And that's what I did.
That either.
That's what I did this past election cycle. Is I went and did the early voting on like a Sunday afternoon or something like that. But even still, like, you wonder, did that make it to the right place?
Yep.
How many? I don't know.
Like Dennis is saying,
if you're convicted of like voter fraud or the post office purposely screws it up, how do you deter that? What are the consequences? So what actually happens if you're the guy caught?
Well, Dennis is saying the Postmaster General in West Virginia yesterday was charged. So I don't know what the charges were. I mean, obviously mail fraud, I'm sure is one of them. But what is the ramifications of that? I don't know. And I've got a question for you, Dennis. Since I know Dennis is an over the road trucker, so he's not home a lot. I'm assuming that you probably do a mail-in ballot, and that's how he probably knows that you can be checked on. Have you had any problems with that? How do you go about that during election time? Is it as easy as Cliff says? Is it the checking process easy? Do you feel safe knowing that your vote was counted?
While we're waiting for him, I will say this though, right? It's just like the new press secretary. I don't remember her name, but she was bringing up the point of the day.
She'll be fired in a few weeks anyway.
You're fired. But she was bringing up the point. It's not that they're against mail-in ballots for certain situations and for certain people. Maybe Dennis is exactly the right person in the right situation. But what's being talked about is making it, nationwide or
making every standard.
Right. And then and that I think is a huge problem. Cliff, wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
Reading this story right now about the West Virginia mail carrier that was charged with altering absentee ballots. This was just in the news just a couple of days ago. And, so I guess, it can happen, but the fact is it got caught. He was caught. I mean, this is nowhere, West Virginia. And they probably say that about nowhere, Florida, by the way. But anyway, so he's out in West Virginia. This guy's thinking that, hey, I'm going to just change some of these votes, from Democrat to Republican. They are watching this stuff, and he was caught. So apparently, just using your whiteout or magic eraser is not enough.
But after the fact, it's too late. After the fact, it's too late.
I don't think so. I think that there's a little bit of time involved here. That if those numbers, we're going to change it. We're going to change the results of the election. I think they could change it.
Yeah, you could. But the issue with the other one was that the ballots were found in the state. It's not they were changed or weren't counted. They were just, they weren't counted. They were just lost.
Well, those were not absentee ballots, by the way, or mail-in ballots. Those were the ones that were used at a polling place and just stuck in a closet. So, we don't have a perfect system.
No, we don't. But I don't think we need to purposely make it worse.
So there you go. Then it says that it's the Constitution, or every state is responsible for their own elections. That's why you have a state supervisor of elections.
No, he's correct on that.
Right. So in order to make the
no.
mail-in balloting system, what?
Well, the rest of his sentence here, the rest of his sentence number 2, they need to pass an amendment for the federal government to take control. Good night, man.
I don't think he's advocating.
I don't think he's advocating for that.
He's
I think
saying
he's
this is
making
what
a
would need to
statement.
happen in order to make the federal government responsible. Yeah.
Right. And of course, you don't want to put all that power back into basically one pot again. At least now it's at 50 pots.
No, it needs to be in the state's hands. And that's why, states' rights are very important when it comes to things like that, because what applies to New York State doesn't apply to Oklahoma, and it doesn't apply to North Dakota, and it doesn't apply to California.
Started on New York State or California or Illinois. We'll
But
talk about that later.
You know what I mean? Like what's good for one is not good for all, and it needs to be the way it is now. So, all right, let's move on.
Well, I just want to say one more time, not in favor. Cliff, wrong.
Cliff, you've just been voted off the island.
Man.
Dude, so
hey, you know what? Just for that, Matt, come hurricane season, when your power's out, you're not going to come to my house to sit in my brand new portable air conditioned room.
Speaking of that, it is hurricane season. Is what today?
Tomorrow
starts.
All right, Cliff, I need to hear about this personal portable air conditioning unit. By the way, are we going to take this thing with us on our next camping trip?
No, I'm not hauling that thing out there. I hauled a TV out there one time. That was a mistake.
I'll tell you what.
I'm not hauling this thing.
He'll bring the air conditioner, but you've got to bring.
Is this just a window unit?
No, it stands in the room. It says it cools up to 500 square feet. And then it has an exhaust that goes to a window.
What did this run you?
$320 on sale at Sam's.
Let me make a note of this real quick.
Yeah, go get one.
Well, I got one. I also picked one up tax free. It was actually $0, and it's right here.
So let me ask you this, Cliff. How are you gonna? You just said if the power's out, how are you gonna run it?
Personal air conditioner right there.
What's that now, Matt?
You just said if the power's out, so how are you going to run yours?
I'm also running the generator, the small generator that I got. This is Florida. We lose power. Well, actually, I lost power here the other night on the show. Yes, so I lose power constantly.
That will be very convenient.
I just made a note. I'm going to buy one of those as soon as the show's over.
Oh, I've done some research on it. I'm going to tell you what, this was.
Just send me the link to the one you got, because here's what I've learned over the years. If you've done the research, it was sufficient.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do my own.
I just lost my focus there.
How much research did he do when he got his real air conditioner replaced a couple of years ago? I don't know if you remember that, but
I did a ton of research. Oh no, I didn't, because that was a lightning strike.
That was overnight. It was like,
I
need to cool now.
Yeah, well, no, the insurance company fixed it.
Oh,
so I didn't argue with that one.
Well, I do.
Hey, I need a roofer, by the way.
Oh, I talked to a Terrible Shot guy. Yeah. And, his father is a roofer, and he says that I'm supposed to get the information to you or get some information from you I'm not exactly sure, but either way, he is interested in the job.
How old's your house?
No kidding.
It's 15 years, but I'm looking at replacing the roof.
I didn't know you needed that, because today.
Matt, is this something that your general contracting company can do?
I'm going to hire the Terrible Shot
guys. Okay.
Yeah. So just go with them.
Do we have Terrible Shot guy?
What if we do it ourselves? The four of us?
No. I have roofed my last roof.
This would make a great video.
No.
Come on.
Oh man. All right, so we're talking about hurricane preparedness. Tomorrow's the first day of hurricane season.
Yes.
So I it's crazy, because the last I think as Floridians, we tend to buy the things that we didn't have prepared when, the last hurricane came through.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so for me, I did buy a generator because my generator went bad during the hurricane the last time around. We lost Maddie. I bought
Power. He lost power. He's
He
out.
lost
and,
power.
and he doesn't have air conditioning.
He's got a switch gear. He's got a big generator.
And I bought a lot of extension cords to hook up to the generator.
Right.
And I bought a lot of batteries and a lot of lanterns, like the kind that run on batteries, not the kind that run on kerosene or whatever. And I got all that stuff tucked away in a hurricane preparedness kit.
You
Okay.
need those.
How about gas cans? You're gonna need a lot of gas cans for the
Yeah,
generator.
so I've been, the thing about gas cans is they're actually kind of expensive.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. So over the course of, whenever I started collecting them, essentially, it's one of those things that over the period of since we've had our last hurricane, now I probably have 6 or 7 gas cans, the big Mac Daddy ones.
yeah.
But I didn't buy them all at the same time. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm running through Lowe's or Home Depot. Oh, let me go ahead and grab another one of these. But they're like $35 or $40. They're not cheap.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
but I
gas
don't mind
cans aren't cheap.
I don't mind filling up with those because my strategy is that I fill up 4 or 5. That's 20, 30 gallons of gas, and then the hurricane misses us, or I actually don't use it in the generator. I just put it in the car. That's the benefit of using gas as opposed to like diesel generator or something like that.
Sure.
What are you going to do with 100 gallons of diesel? By the way, if you get
Nothing.
nothing, no.
Nothing.
Run your-
Sell
run
it
your generator.
Sell it to Pooh Bear.
I know where to use it.
So this is what I do, right? Because Cliff, sorry to burst your bubble, but I don't need to come over because I too have a generator, and it runs my whole house, including my air conditioner.
Mm.
So, and it's not. I don't need gas cans. It runs.
This
on.
guy's just showing off now.
No, I'm just. He brought it up. I didn't bring it up. He brought it up.
This guy.
not-
All right, so
It runs off the propane tank to my house.
maybe
So I'm good.
instead of going and buying this personal AC unit immediately after this show, I can have a conversation with Matt about getting me one of these whole house generators.
we could do that.
Well, you're going to need natural gas whole house too, like he has. Matt is sufficient in an event of a hurricane.
You guys can come
Well,
over.
I have a propane tank that heats my hot tub and my pool.
Your hot tub and your pool are not going to do you much good when it comes to.
Well, I'm gonna
But
have
you got to
to
take a bath somewhere, buddy.
I'm gonna have to see if Javi can come out and dig a natural gas line into my yard. Then
Do you have gas in your neighborhood?
no,
No,
the
no,
spigot
you're out
the
of luck.
spigot's right there at the stop sign, or like it runs right in front of the neighborhood, but not down the neighborhood.
Well, you can go tap into it.
Same thing with reclaimed water. Pooh Bear, can I get some of that poop water in my neighborhood?
I'll work on that tomorrow. I just lost my microphone stand.
Oh, this
No,
guy.
man down.
Matt drops off the show. Pooh Bear's having microphone problems. We might as well just call it a night.
Well, it's chaos. It's full chaos because I'm in the wrong square now. I was in the bottom left. Now I'm in the bottom right.
Yeah, I'm screwed up too.
The chief is upset about being shifted over.
Yeah.
Well,
So
here,
listen, by the way, we started talking about this at the beginning of the show, but the SpaceX thing, the first manned astronauts launched from
Yes.
U.S. soil in 9 years. My question is, just another day, or is that something special?
Oh, it's something special.
Oh, it's definitely something special.
And it's something special because it's private. It's the first
Yes.
private one,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
So-
that's where this is all going.
What got me though, and I was watching to look for it because I remember fondly as a kid.
Yes.
And we're all broadcasting from Florida, by the way. So on the east coast of Florida, if you don't know, when a rocket or shuttle goes up, you can usually see a trail. And when I was in elementary school and middle school, we would actually leave the classroom to go watch a shuttle launch, and that's where I was the day the Challenger exploded. We saw that live. But I was excited yesterday. I was like, yes, I set an alarm for 3:20. I'm like, all right, kids, let's go look to the east. We're gonna see the rocket. There was not a stinking stream. Nothing. It was like it was an electric rocket. There was no gas coming off of the thing. Nothing.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, we had so much cloud cover. I think that was a bigger problem.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah.
We couldn't see it from the house. Now, I was there for the scheduled launch on Wednesday.
Right.
By the way, I waited like 4.5 hours at Port Canaveral for this thing to go off, and it gets, scrubbed 16 minutes before. And then it took me 4 hours to drive a 2-hour drive home. But again, the television coverage was pretty exceptional. Going back to the talk about the sports on TV, but I don't know, man. There's something about it that just makes you like proud to be an American.
Oh yeah. Well, I sit there and I'll watch that thing and I'm like, because I think, when the shuttle would take off, the shuttle took off and it would kind of hover there for a second and then it would like struggle, it seemed, to get up into outer space. And then finally, they go full throttle and it would really get going. This thing just leapt off the launch pad and it was gone. And I was like, I wonder if that's what a nuke does. Because
sure
I'm going to have to guess that is exactly what a nuke does.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully we don't ever find out, but I'm going to have to guess it's pretty much very similar technology.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned because I don't know if you guys looked at the astronauts at all or anything, but I didn't see any social distancing on that rocket. And I'm really concerned.
Dude, they've been in quarantine for like 3 weeks.
The rules apply to everybody.
That's right.
Right. And I don't think they're social distancing up on the space station right now either.
Oh, I think they are. The astronaut, the one American up there, he was saying how much he's looking forward to, getting some company because, I guess the cosmonauts that are on, there's 2 cosmonauts and 1 American, and they're on their side and he's on his side. He sounds like he's, on Gilligan's Island all by himself up there.
Poor guy.
Hey,
how long are they supposed to be there this time?
It's a couple days to a couple months. They said they kind of doesn't have a time schedule. I guess it's when they get bored they come back. But
they're out of food, time to go home.
Hey, but you know what I was thinking about yesterday during the launch is remember the girl who drove from Texas to Florida? She was an astronaut.
Yes.
And she murdered somebody or something like that. But she made the drive with the diaper on because that's what they wear during blast off. Well, like when you watch the movies, these guys, they blast off in outer space, then they take their helmet off, and now that's what it smells like inside a space capsule. They take it off and like if you made it, like you were the guy, you were okay, but you're looking at your buddy, you're going, come on, man.
Oh, you're not okay.
Wow, that's what you were thinking about.
That's what an inside of a space capsule smells like.
Personally, I'm thinking like
that's why they're not allowed to eat burritos before a launch.
How insane is it that they launched that rocket and the first booster returns to Earth?
Yeah,
not just to Earth, but
lands
on a platform.
Lands on a dime. It lands on a dime.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Technology is it's pretty amazing, and I got to tell you, so like the way I felt about this was. We haven't seen, in my opinion, you guys are going to probably shoot me down for this, but we haven't seen a whole lot of technological advances in the last couple of years. I mean, like the coolest thing that Apple has come out with is an iPad mini.
Are we sitting at 4 separate places talking on the World Wide Web to each other right now? By the way, Dennis says he just heard Lee Greenwood in the back of his head, proud to be an American.
I'm just saying, like, there hasn't been anything significant or major, and obviously this took a number of years to happen, and they failed forward quite a bit. But I think that this just like the innovation and the disruption in this space, not meaning outer space, but in this technological space, I can't imagine where people's imaginations go from here. And by the way, I mean, the whole point is to make
Jetsons.
Yeah, the whole point is to make space available to the average Joe that's on the main event.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the Navy just successfully test fired a laser on one of its ships, shooting missiles down that were supposed to be coming at it.
I saved that story. I haven't read it yet.
Oh yeah,
it was successful.
Yeah. So that is pretty. The Soviets they're touting these supersonic missiles right now, and I guess one of the things that they're targeting, are our carriers. And you got to figure, I mean, there's no place to hide out there. So if it comes in, it comes in. But I'm pretty sure that lasers travel faster than, Mach 2 or Mach 3 missiles. So
it tells me they go about 186,000 miles a second. So they'll get
light speed.
Quick.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, I think it was in the 1890s. Now, someone can go Google it really quick and fact check it. But wasn't there was a I don't know if you call it a bill or something or an idea to close down the patent office?
Wrong.
Everything that could be invented had been invented.
I just want to throw that in there.
He's been holding on to that one in his pocket.
It doesn't work if it's out of context, man.
I've been holding on to them too for a little while.
Oh no!
Wow. But they said there was nothing else to be invented. Well, I think the difference here to Lovell's point is that
Someone else sharks with freaking lasers.
Freaking lasers on their head, man.
Listen, I'm just saying, somebody take that damn bell away from Cliff. I'm deaf.
Lisa.
Speaking of sharks with lasers, there was that thing on Saturday Night Live, Laser Cats. Maybe that was ahead of its time. I don't know,
dude.
But anyway, back to Lovell's point. I was just going to say,
disappointed that there's not going to be Saturday Night Live with Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders.
Oh, they may do it anyway.
That would have been
comedy
some
gold.
of the best Saturday Night Live you've ever watched in your life.
Yeah, they may do it anyway.
They should. They should.
Yeah. Probably so. Like I was saying, my point was just that the things that were invented, from getting us to this point, were low-hanging fruit, right? Everything was easier and easier. We're getting into so much more complicated things that things are still happening. It's just the time to be impressed takes longer.
Well, what is one of my favorite YouTubers is a technology guy, MKBHD, and one of the things he talks about is
New Kids on the Block.
No, it's his name's Marquise Brownlee. His name's Marquise Brownlee, but his YouTube channel or his YouTube handle.
Hanging Tough, yeah, right.
So anyway, he talks about mostly cell phone tech and computer tech, but he was mentioning how from one generation of a phone to the next there's not that quantum leap anymore. That it's not going into these crazy features that didn't exist.
That's what I'm saying. That was what I was saying. That was really kind of what I was saying earlier, Pooh Bear.
Right. So what's going to happen though is that it's going to push it in a different direction. The need for a cell phone or the need for a portable device like this is going to change. Their uses for the portable device are going to change. And once those happen, then you're going to see the shift in the market for why don't we have infrared temperature sensors in our phone so we can test the temperature of something, a surface of something.
That's a cool idea.
Well, what I'm thinking they're going to go to is something more like where you don't even need any device. It's like an implant in your skin, and then you just see things, and you think about it.
The augmented reality glasses and things of this nature. Amazon released earbuds last year, and a ring that actually is connected to she who should not be named, Alexa. Anyway, so it's just in a different. They're taking different avenues. They're no longer improving on the same product that we're familiar with, and they're doing things that we're not hearing about. They're doing the satellites in space with Elon Musk that's going to blanket the Earth in Wi-Fi. They're looking for ways to treat water and wastewater.
By the way, I can't believe there's not worldwide Wi-Fi yet.
Yeah, well, the market hadn't been there.
And I can't believe we still pay for it as much as we do.
And remember, not that long ago, you were doing dial-up. There was no Wi-Fi. Right. I mean, I still remember the first time I found out I could use my printer without having it connected to my computer somewhere else in the house. And I was like, what? Wow.
Right. Yep.
That wasn't that long ago.
No, it's changing so rapidly and keeping up. Like Cliff's saying, look at us. We're in the same city, but with 4 different homes, 4 different computers. We're all linked up together on one website and doing this. That's insane.
Yeah. Ridiculous. I mean, the internet didn't, when we were kids, and now we're not over the hill yet. We're all, we're still young somewhat.
I can see the top of the hill.
But we were,
I can see the top of my head.
The internet, remember, when it first came about? I mean, like we talked about before, we still used to use encyclopedias when we were kids, and you still had. I still remember when I first got call waiting.
Oh yeah.
Or we used
to
use
answer machine.
That was an option. You paid for waiting.
You paid extra. It's called Total Phone or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, so just to be sitting here now is just ridiculous.
It changes very rapidly, and when you, in hindsight, you look back, you're like, wow, that's crazy. Recently, we were talking about images of my oldest daughter, pictures, and I didn't have any digital images of her. She's 17.
Mm-hmm.
And think about that. Not so long ago is when I got my first digital camera, and it was after she was born. So
I was gonna say I bought a camcorder when my oldest was born, and when my youngest was born, we did it all on our phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people did away with actually having a separate camera.
Still have the camera, but it's like not even HD, I'm sure.
And then they had cell phones with no cameras in them initially. Then you had the flip phone, and then you had the,
Old school flip phone. I love it.
Yeah, we should go back.
I love
But
it.
I mean, now you have phones that take videos of everything, and that leads to social media, which leads to the decay of the entire world, and that's a different discussion.
Dude,
for another day, but-
maybe that is one of the topics we lead off with next week on the Man Event.
how social media is going to kill us all.
Dude, I'm starting not to feel great about it.
Well, what
That
are you
happened
having?
quick.
Do you have any problems with your kids?
My kids don't have access to it yet.
Oh.
We've not permitted it.
That was your
So-
chance to segue into your e-learning problem.
Oh. Yeah, so thanks for letting me
you
get that
gotta
off
go
my
like this when
chest,
you do
Pooh
that.
Bear.
I
Thanks
mean,
for letting me
it
get
was-
off on my chest.
It was a real softball, and you just
By the way, remember that time I rounded second and my pants fell down going up? No. So here's
I've
the
heard
thing.
the
So
story so
school,
many times. I feel like I was there though.
you should. Well, it's almost as good as the story of the injury that ended Pooh Bear's career.
oh, brutal.
Probably a better story, but we'll talk about that at the Man Event Boot Camp Day, taping this Saturday, dropping in about 10 days. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so school got out here in Hillsborough County on Friday. And my whole opinion of this e-learning thing is it was very, very poorly done. And I know that there are members of this audience who are in this segment of life or professional. And so here's the thing. I got two kids. One's in middle school. One's in elementary school. My focus is more on the elementary school. And here's the gist of it is what in the hell did these teachers do all day for a half a school year? I can't think of anything that they did that kept them busy throughout the day. In fact, I would have to imagine a lot of them have pretty nice tans
Because
they've
wasn't
been
half
sitting
a
out.
year, was it?
They've been sitting up by their pool. It was pretty close to a half a year. I mean, my kids never went back to school after spring break.
It was one semester.
Right? Okay, well, quit running on my parade. But either way, here's my thing, okay? Here's
We're
my
all
thing.
about the facts here on the Man Event.
Here's my thing. So, let's take the average elementary school student, right? There's what, 25 students maybe in the class?
That
Mhm.
due to class size amendment, yes.
Okay. This teacher can't do one 30-minute or 1 hour Zoom call one-on-one with my student once a week.
A one-on-one.
Yeah, they can't do a single one-on-one for however many weeks that we've been on e-learning. They can't find time in their schedule to do one-on-one.
Well, just
Well,
playing.
what are you trying to accomplish with it?
Did you ask? the
I'm
teacher
just
or
saying,
not?
well, should it be on me to ask the teacher?
Well, yeah, she's gonna.
They're
teach
the
class-
educator.
Exactly. So she's gonna teach the class to her what she feels is needed. You
Wow.
think something else is needed. So what?
Wow.
do you
No,
think
what
is
I
needed?
expect is during the normal school year,
Mhm.
every single quarter, the teacher sent out a request if we wanted to have a conference or not.
Yep,
The entire time we were on e-learning, not a peep.
I got one.
Okay.
I got
So-
three, actually.
My thing is during the school, since we did e-learning, they maybe had enough schoolwork to keep them busy for 60 or 90 minutes a day.
Right.
My question, what did the teacher do all day?
Okay, let me take a little bit of a opposing viewpoint here, okay? I would look at it as it's not that the teachers necessarily didn't do anything all day or what have you. First off, it was thrown at them very, very quickly,
Correct.
right? This whole thing came up really fast. They didn't have a chance to prepare.
Ooh,
That's-
you're going to take me down a road you don't want to go
Yeah,
down.
let's go, baby. We might as well have some fun with it. But the second thing is, all the infrastructure for doing this wasn't in place. So let's look at maybe we look at the bigger picture. to
Matt,
start
here's
and
the
say,
thing, dude. Before you
let me
even go,
finish my thought. Hold on a second.
Let him get it.
So maybe we start with the bigger picture first, which is saying it was e-learning just a failure or was it implemented too quick? So is the concept of e-learning as a whole a good way to go? Just like we were talking about mail-in ballots, which was wrong earlier.
let me ask you this.
But wait. So if you put the right tools in place, if you're given enough time to set up something besides using Zoom or whatever else and make it work better, could it be more economically feasible? Better education? Could you use technology to make the people better? Right now, we got a generation of COVID kids who are going to be very dumb next year.
Listen, here's the thing, Matt. You and I are both leaders in business, right? You own and lead your own business.
Yeah.
And I lead one. And you know what I did during the pandemic?
You worked.
I innovated and disrupted. And because of that, me and my team are having a record year, right? I chose to lead my organization through a pandemic. I made that choice as a leader. You did the same.
You made that choice motivated by profit. These teachers.
It doesn't matter.
Sure, it does. They're not going to make any more money if they're on your.
And that's my point, Pooh Bear. Is if everybody got paid based on their job performance, don't you think that we'd be in a lot better place?
But you just said you led your team, right? So you have the authority and the power and the control to do what you want, how you want, when you want. Largely, okay.
No, Matt, I have the responsibility.
Okay, but what I'm just trying to point out there are certain differences here. One is that teachers just can't go off the wall and do things their way because there's a school board and there's a superintendent and there's 14 million other parents who are all going to yell at you for doing it the wrong way, no matter what way you do it.
Matt, here's the thing: leaders.
So
lead.
I think it needs to be finessed.
Hold on. Here's the thing: leaders lead. Okay, anybody who has influence over somebody or something is a leader, okay? And you choose to lead despite the leadership that's ahead of you, right?
Well, you're looking at how many leaders are you talking about here? How many teachers are there that every one of them is the leader? So now you've got to start looking at, out of all those teachers, how many actually did a good job? You just don't know about it.
I don't know. But what accountability was in place to any of these teachers that any of them even worked a full day?
None yet, because it happened so quickly and they were so unprepared.
Exactly. So
nobody knew it was going to happen.
Let me bring the reality in for you. Just trying to focus on my son. Let me bring the reality for you. You are correct. It was all thrown at them on spring break, March 13th, 2020. I remember it well. Okay. You have the first week was their spring break. They were going to take their vacations and do whatever it is they were going to do. When they came back, you had a good 2 to 3 weeks of them figuring out what to do. Okay, they didn't know if they were going to come back to school. They didn't know if they were going to be in different pods, different whatever. Nothing happened for at least 2 weeks. That third and fourth week, they were getting supplies out to kids. You're fortunate enough your kids have an internet connection and the ability to log into the internet. That is not the case with most kids. Most kids had to go and borrow a laptop or an iPad from the school. So you had time for the schools to have to get those out, get them assigned to the kids, and get them issued out. Then you had the kids that couldn't even get onto the internet. What were they going to do? So you had to wait for Spectrum to go to their house and install internet for not free, but for whatever it was. It was a huge discount. Then you had, what about the curriculum? What about the teachers that you say they want to lead? Well, they're not used to leading by the computer. They're 65 years old and they're used to doing things on paper. So they had to adapt from taking things on paper to go to the school, print them out, deliver them, or have the kids come and get them from the school. There's a huge gap between what can and can't be done via the computer.
And you just brought up the point that they thought they were going to be going back after 2 weeks, and then they were going to go back after another 2 weeks. So they never knew this was going to go on this long.
Here's what I'll tell you. You can have reasons or you can have results. And all you did was just give me reasons.
Did your kid fail?
But it wouldn't matter. They weren't going to grade them anyway.
That's the result.
That's the solution, though? We're okay with that being the solution.
You just said it was about results.
No, this is what I would say. First off, I love the fact you're fired up about it because you care about your kids, you care about their education. We all do. We all, I got a 16-year-old son who collectively between, what was it, March 13th, Pooh?
Yeah, March 13th was the day. Yep.
March 13th and yesterday, or Friday, which was the last day of school, had 14 and a half minutes of schoolwork, right? So I get your point. But if you were this fired up after they said we're switching over to an e-learning environment for the future as a way to go, and they weren't prepared, I get it. Correct. This is just, in this particular instance, we're trying to take so many people in such a screwed up situation, and like the logistics of it are huge, and you got so many people you've got to account to. You're not just the only boss. Your wife is the other boss. I'm a boss. My wife is a boss. Pooh Bear is a boss. Cliff's a boss. Every parent out there is a separate boss with a separate idea of how this whole thing was going to work. And I don't care what the teachers did, someone's going to criticize them for it. And I just don't think they had the resources to do it in an effective way yet.
Yeah. Listen, I know I'm fired up and I'm coming across hard. But here's my initial point, and I think that this is a very small measuring stick. 25 kids in a classroom. If you did one-on-ones with 5 of them a day, once a week, you'd have been able to hit every single student, if even for 30 minutes one-on-one. And they couldn't figure out how to do that. It's because they were laying out by their pool, getting a tan.
But what makes you think that needed to happen?
So if it doesn't need to happen, then why am I sending my kid to school for 6 hours a day every day? If one-on-one doesn't need to happen in the classroom, why do we send them anyway?
It never happens in the real world on a daily basis. They don't get one-to-one ever.
So the teachers don't ever identify a student who is struggling and spend time with them one-on-one.
They leave that class and go off with a different teacher. That means they're failing. They're pulled from there's a separate teacher that does that. She comes and pulls kids that need the instruction like that.
Wow.
And pulls them aside and does that.
Wow. Then we have bigger problems than I think we do.
Well, there's a lot going on here, and the fact of the matter is everybody's right to a certain extent. I would say, Brian, that you are 100% right if this were to continue, but I'm also can see that this takes a lot. I know it takes a lot to get it into play. And not just get into play, but to get it to work. And they didn't know when the start was or when it was going to end. Sometimes you just don't do a whole lot. You don't gear up and then, to have the rug pulled out underneath you and say, hey, we're going to gear up for all this e-learning and then take it away. I do think you're right, though. They could have done a little more because my kid, he would spend about 45 minutes a day, doing his 10th grade lessons. I mean, that's just not enough. This is something that, no one saw coming. They didn't know how to react. And the one thing is that, and this probably isn't going to sound good, but the fact of the matter is, you got one teacher who goes out and takes their class and moves them ahead. And you got another teacher that's just not capable of doing that. They don't have the skill set. They're not prepared for it. They don't even know how to turn those kids are left behind. And it is important for these students to stay together.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of those teachers have kids of their own that they're having to do the same things you guys were having to do.
What the hell do you think I did all day, Pooh Bear?
Well, that's the thing.
I'm running a multi-million-dollar business from a 12-by-12 room in my house while my kids are learning, and I'm winning.
How would you have tested them?
You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we coming down to the lowest common denominator?
All right, first,
it's absolutely true. Here's the thing. In a crisis. In a crisis, the fall is faster, right? Everything rises and falls on leadership. And in a crisis, the fall is faster. A good leader is going to raise the level of an organization or at the very least just keep it stable. Man, so we have put our kids.
That's what they did.
We have put our kids in a horrible deficit.
I agree with that, but go yell at the superintendent. Then maybe they put all the teachers in a bad position.
Who, by the way, his first day on the job was March 1st.
Well, okay.
I'm just saying that when the going gets tough, people show up and do it.
I don't think you're looking at apples to apples here. This isn't the same thing as business. But let me ask you
why not?
Because it's government institutional run education.
You're dealing with
You're dealing with law. You're dealing with
the school system. You're dealing with
rules
resources
and regulations.
The fact that
here's the thing is he just said that some of these kids didn't even have computers, and there are kids in every school district and every school system that are severely challenged for resources. And so you have to get them those, because what do we just say? Those kids got it. Sorry, you don't have enough resources at home, so you're going to have to stay behind while we go with everybody else. Yep. You got to find all these pieces. And I got one other quick question for you, B-Love. And this is, I'm not slamming you. I'm asking this honestly. How do you test the kids?
How do you test? I think that's, to me, that was the important.
Right, do a science test. How do you keep the kids from just Googling all their answers and everybody gets 100?
Right.
Stop. It's got nothing to do with testing. That's why,
that's part of the learning process. That's part of this teaching thing. How would you accomplish that?
I would have done the leader. I would have done the one-on-ones, right? If you want to check in on, and by the way, this is a lesson for anybody who is in a leadership or management position.
Mm-hmm.
Trust but verify. Okay.
Yeah,
If you want to verify that your students are actually learning the materials, you have a one-on-one conversation with them. You don't need to test them.
Right.
Just have a one-on-one conversation with them. And you're going to be able to gauge the level of which they are understanding and retaining what you were trying to teach them.
And then when someone asks you to defend why you gave XYZ that grade, because when you give someone a grade of a F or a D because you didn't think they comprehended it all that well, but you've got no test or anything else, you're going to have some parents down there ripping you a new one.
Here's the thing. I don't have any problems whatsoever with the fact that they didn't truly grade Q4. I don't have any problems with that. What I have a problem with is because we didn't truly grade Q4, we're just going to call it in.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to call it in because it doesn't matter. That's
I think
what
I think they were just overwhelmed.
So
they didn't
how
have
do you know your child's teacher didn't do the verification? You're saying that your verification would have been a one-on-one conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What if his or her methods were different and they were just as effective?
Well, I would like to know what they were then.
Did you ask?
It was probably that child knows your child better than you think he or she does, and knows, you know what, this kid really didn't need to have all this stuff going on in the fourth quarter. She can slide. She's got it.
Man, and we think that's okay.
She's ready for the next grade.
That's okay. This is the same environment that hands out participation trophies to people.
Yeah.
In this world, there are winners and there are losers.
I want to see,
and we're teaching our kids
this passionate this time next year when your kid's going to school.
I have been. Listen, the number one thing that I've learned from an educator, all right, and by the way, someone very close to you, is that the kids who do best in school are the ones whose parents are involved.
Yes, this is true.
I agree with you.
We applaud you for getting involved.
And the analogy that was given to me at that time is, if I teach an English class and I teach boom boom English, regular English, and honors English, and we hold an open house, the room will be packed for the honors English parents. The boom boom kids won't show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But here's the thing. We are living in a society where we hand out participation trophies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, all of us grew up that we only got recognized when we won, the four of us on this call. That's the problem I have, because in this life, there are winners and there are losers.
I do want to just say Cliff and I actually won the trophy for actually winning. We didn't. It wasn't
the cake bake challenge.
No, not even that one. The football. Remember we coached flag football, and we were actually on ESPN or HBO.
HBO, but we did win the cake baking trophy too.
Yeah, that's true.
So
winners and losers.
Level, here's one thing. I agree with you 100% because I am all against the participation trophy society. And that's where everything goes these days. It's always about, the victim. I mean, the criminals have all the rights. The victims don't have any, lower the sentences, lower the bar. Nobody has to pay their mortgage. If you can't pay, the taking away of personal responsibility is a huge problem in our society. And I think that's going to be that, and social media will be our downfall going forward. Another discussion. I agree with you. If we had more time, like Cliff said, to set this up, or this was a test run or something else, we can get there.
I didn't get a test run for my business. You didn't get a test run for yours.
Right. But I'm telling you, I don't think you're looking at apples to apples. I just don't. I don't think you can do that here. But I in the bigger picture, I agree with your premise and your point. I don't think you're being fair to giving enough credit to the situation that everybody
you were given flexibility and latitude to get as much business and do the kind of business you could, correct? You were not given handcuffs and said, make sure this happens.
So talk to me about the handcuffs.
I'm not going to get into specifics, but there was something, and to think what they were doing other than that, they were going to school and feeding kids is what they were doing. They were going to school and making sure all the kids that didn't have food and have privileged homes, they were getting fed that day, and organizing that. They were going to class. They had online classes to attend themselves for training, okay, on how to do this, how to do a Zoom call. You couldn't believe the amount of teachers that did not know how to set up a Zoom call, okay? there was a whole day of training on how to do just that. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you take for granted that you don't realize. These people were trained to the highest standard to be classroom teachers, not teach from your home to kids in their home.
Whether this worked or not, this e-learning, and it is the way of the future. It is coming. It's going to come in higher and higher doses, and our kids are going to have to learn, and especially their kids are going to have to learn differently than we did. They're going to have to learn, someone's going to present the material, and then they're going to have to find the resources that help it click with them, because they're not going to have an instructor in front of them.
Yep. And
do you think that's a good thing?
No,
I don't think it's a good thing, but it is the way things are going, though.
Right.
I mean, that is clearly the way stuff is heading.
As technology goes, and we do these things like this e-learning, and just like you said, it's the way things are going. One thing that's not changing is human beings are still built a certain way. They still have certain needs. They still need social interaction. They still need, things that are intangible that we don't even think of. And the more we go towards computer-based things and all this AI and who knows what else, you're going to lose the human element. And that's when you're going to, I don't know. That's when, what's the apocalypse?
There you go.
Yeah, he don't lie. People need Jesus.
Yeah,
I saw this. You guys see the meme floating around the internet this weekend about the astronauts leaving space, and that was a good choice. Or leaving,
leaving Earth, and that was a good choice. Yeah,
leaving Earth and giving a good choice. That was great.
Tell Dennis we said Maranatha, right?
The world needs Jesus.
Maranatha. So how about we didn't get fired up again until towards the end? How do we harness this guy? How do we get this kind of dialogue going at the front of the show?
Dude, I tried warning. I've been trying to tell you guys for 2 weeks. I had this on my chest.
Well, I know. And you almost missed your end.
And by the way, I could keep going if you wanted me to.
Go ahead.
But
look, we're out of time.
We'll just let it rest.
I got to go wash my hair. So
here's the
and by
bottom
that
line.
he means literally one hair.
I'll leave you with this on that subject.
Okay.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything. Right? It's like a tide. Right? When the level of leadership in an organization raises, naturally the whole organization raises to that leadership level.
I'll disagree with that, because I've had to work under some really bad leaders.
Yep.
And, you've got that de facto leader that's a part of a group who can keep things going. Because if I had to work, if my level of work was the same as some of my leaders, it would have been pretty bad.
You just made my point. You actually just made my point. Because what you chose to do was to raise your lid of your leadership level despite those ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, okay, we're saying that's leadership, but that's a de facto. That's not a defined leader. But anyway,
that's good character, not taking the lead.
Well,
and
anyway,
every teacher's not the leader of the organization.
Oh, don't go back to that. Don't go back there, Matt.
They are.
Put a pin in it, and we'll pick this up next week.
They're just the leader of their classroom.
Like I said, anybody who has influence, whether it's on an individual or on something, is a leader. Right? It could be on the little league field. It could be in your profession. All of us on this call are parents, right? Everybody here is a leader.
I'm done with you, D. I'm done with you.
By the way, Dennis, it would be nice if you chose to share, this page with your friends. Like, share, subscribe.
Ring the bell.
Yes, we do this at a regular time every Sunday night at 7:00.
Every Sunday night at 7. Go to go back. You can watch some of the previous episodes. And
don't go back too far.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got a good couple of weeks. We've got a good couple of weeks coming up, right? By the way, I think this is one of the better episodes that we've ever had on the Man Event. Next Saturday, this coming Saturday, we are taping our next short, which so far the 2 shorts that we've done have been received well. Huge. Do I say it? Did I say it right, Donald?
They're the best.
Huge. They're the best. The best.
Gina's got nothing on our shorts. Our shorts are the best.
Gina.
So incredible shorts. You've never seen shorts like this before.
And that's going to drop in about 10 days. And then we've got a special guest planned for that. In 2 weeks from today, we have a special guest planned that will have something to do with the short that you're going to see coming up here next week.
Yeah, that's going to be funny.
I'm excited.
Looking
All
forward.
right, guys. Hey, I got to go.
Oh,
been
boy,
real.
it's time. I hear the microwave beeping. Okay.
Yep.
That's going to wrap it up for episode
Pizza's
11.
ready.
We will catch you again at 7 p.m. Eastern time next Sunday.
Woohoo!
Go out. and be
Dennis, thanks for
awesome.
staying with us.
With
Yeah,
several new
sure.
topics and a good time. And hey, ring that bell. Subscribe and ring the bell.
That's it. We're out.
Yes. See ya.